Captain Jiho Park stood in the center of the Grand Council chamber and tried not to show his nervousness. The massive room floated in space, orbiting a neutron star that painted everything in shades of blue and white. Around him, 47 different alien species watched from their elevated platforms. Some had scales, others had fur or crystal skin. Some breathed oxygen like humans, while others existed in sealed chambers filled with methane or liquid ammonia. Jiho had trained for this moment for 3 years. Earth's first contact with alien life, humanity's chance to join the galactic community. He wore his dress uniform, crisp and clean, with Earth's flag on his shoulder. Behind him stood his team: Mina Kim, his chief engineer with sharp eyes and clever hands; Dae Sung, a military advisor, whose calm presence steadied everyone; and Hana Lee, a xenobiologist who had spent months learning alien customs. The chamber fell silent. A massive crystalline being rose from the central platform. Chairman Velthar, leader of the Galactic Council. His body reflected light in rainbow patterns, and his voice echoed like wind through caves. "Humans of Earth," Velthar began, "you have requested membership in the Galactic Council. We have reviewed your species. We have studied your biology, your technology, and your culture. The Council has reached a decision." Jiho felt his heart beat faster. This was it. Humanity's future would be decided in the next few moments. The Council finds humanity lacking. The word hit Jiho like a physical blow. Around the chamber, alien beings made sounds that might have been agreement or mockery. He couldn't tell which. Velthar continued, "Your biology is fragile. Your bodies break easily. You require specific temperatures, specific atmospheres, specific foods. You are made of meat that spoils and bones that snap. You are, by galactic standards, weak." Mina shifted beside Jiho, her jaw tight. Dae remained perfectly still, but his hands had curled into fists. "Your technology is primitive," another council member added. "This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of metal. You still burn chemicals for propulsion. Your computers are slow. Your energy production is wasteful. You have achieved faster-than-light travel, yes, but barely. Your vessels are crude and inefficient." A third alien spoke, this one resembling a massive insect with too many legs. "Your culture concerns us most. You are violent. Your history is filled with wars. You fight each other over resources, over beliefs, over land. You are emotionally unstable and unpredictable. These traits make you dangerous." Velthar raised one crystalline appendage. Holographic displays appeared, showing scenes from Earth's history. Wars, destruction, pollution, weapons. The worst moments of humanity on display for all to see. "Therefore," Velthar declared, "the Galactic Council denies Earth's application for membership. Furthermore, humanity is restricted to its home solar system. You may not colonize other worlds. You may not expand beyond the designated boundary. Any human vessel that crosses this boundary will be destroyed. This restriction will remain in place for a minimum of 5,000 years. 5,000 years. Jiho felt the weight of those words. That was longer than recorded human history. The Council was essentially telling humanity to stay in its corner and grow up. "You may appeal this decision," Velthar continued, "after you have proven yourselves worthy. Until then, Earth is quarantined." The chamber filled with alien voices, discussing among themselves. Some sounded satisfied. Others seemed bored, as if humanity had been just another minor item on a long agenda. Jiho took a deep breath. His team looked at him, waiting for his response. He could argue. He could plead. He could get angry and shout. But none of that would change anything. The Council had made up their minds. Instead, he stepped forward and spoke calmly. "Chairman Velthar, I understand the Council's decision. May I ask one question?" The crystalline being tilted his massive form, surprised perhaps that the human wasn't arguing. "You may. What would it take to prove you wrong?" Silence fell across the chamber. Several aliens leaned forward, interested now. Velthar seemed to consider the question. Then, something that might have been amusement rippled across his surface. "Survive what we cannot. Can you be more specific?" "No." Velthar gestured toward the chamber doors. Your audience is concluded. Return to Earth. Remain within your boundaries. Perhaps in 5,000 years we will speak again. The human delegation turned to leave. Alien eyes followed them as they walked through the massive doors. Jiho kept his back straight and his head high. They wouldn't see humanity defeated. In the transport ship taking them back to their vessel, nobody spoke for a long time. Finally, Mina broke the silence. 5,000 years, she said quietly. That's not a restriction. That's a prison sentence. They're afraid of us, Day observed. Did you notice? They didn't say we were inferior. They said we were dangerous. Hana pulled up a holographic display, reviewing data she had collected during the meeting. I noticed something while we were leaving. The Council's star charts were visible on one of the displays. There's a region of space marked in their language with symbols meaning the graveyard. Jiho looked at the map. A dark nebula cluster, far from Earth but not impossibly far. Red symbols covered it along with numbers. What are those numbers? He asked. Hana zoomed in. Expedition numbers. Over 200 Council missions sent into that region. None returned. Mina leaned closer to study the map. 200 expeditions? Why would they keep sending ships to a place like that? Because there's something important there, Day said. Something worth the risk. Jiho studied the map for a long moment. The graveyard. A place where the mighty Galactic Council, with all their advanced technology and evolved species, had failed repeatedly. A place they considered cursed or impossible. An idea formed in his mind. A crazy, dangerous, potentially suicidal idea. Survive what we cannot. He repeated Velthar's words. That's what he said. Mina's eyes widened. Jiho, you're not thinking. They think we're too weak, too primitive, too unstable. Jiho pointed at the graveyard on the map. They've declared us inferior without giving us a chance to prove otherwise, so let's prove it. Let's go where they can't go. Let's survive what they couldn't survive. That's insane, Hana said, but her voice carried a note of excitement. That's human, Day corrected with a slight smile. Jiho activated his communication device, preparing to send a message to Earth Command. Set course for home. We need to prepare. We're going to the graveyard. Mina laughed, a sound mixed with disbelief and excitement. The Council is going to regret underestimating us. That's the plan, Jiho agreed. As their ship accelerated toward Earth, the graveyard waited in the dark between stars, holding secrets that would change everything. The conference room at Earth Defense Headquarters was packed with people who all thought Jiho had lost his mind. Directors, generals, scientists, and politicians filled every seat. On the main screen, the graveyard nebula glowed red against the black of space. Director Somin Choi stood at the head of the table. She was a small woman with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had led Earth's defense forces for 20 years, through First Contact and everything that came after. Let me make sure I understand, she said, her voice calm but sharp. The Galactic Council has declared us inferior, restricted us to our solar system, and threatened to destroy any ship that crosses their boundary. And your response is to immediately fly to the most dangerous region of known space? Jiho stood his ground. Yes, ma'am. The place where over 200 alien expeditions have disappeared. Yes, ma'am. The place the Council considers cursed? With respect, Director, that's exactly why we need to go. Chairman Velthar said we could prove ourselves by surviving what they cannot. The graveyard is that place. An old general slammed his hand on the table. This is suicide. We should focus on improving our technology, building our defenses. In 1,000 years, maybe 2,000, we'll be ready to challenge the Council's decision. In 1,000 years, we'll have forgotten how to challenge anything, Mina spoke up from beside Jiho. The Council wants us to stay quiet and obedient. We can't let them cage humanity's spirit. Somin studied the nebula image. What makes you think humans can succeed where 47 advanced species have failed? Because we're different, Hana answered. I've studied the Council species. They're specialized. Evolved for specific environments, specific problems. The graveyard has multiple hazards: radiation, gravity anomalies, extreme temperatures. No single Council species could adapt to all of them, but humans, We're generalists. We survive everywhere, Day added. The Council also relies heavily on AI and automation. If something in the graveyard disrupts electronic systems, their ships would be helpless. Human crews can adapt manually. Summon was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to her staff. Show me our best ship. A new image appeared. The ESS Indomitable, Earth's newest and most advanced vessel, sleek and powerful, equipped with experimental shields and weapons. She's ready for her shakedown cruise, a technical officer reported. All systems tested and functional. Soman looked at Jiho. If I authorize this mission and you die out there, the Council will say it proves they were right about us. Humanity will be humiliated. And if we succeed, Jiho asked, then everything changes. Solman smiled slightly. Mission authorized. Bring that ship back, Captain. Show the galaxy what humans can do. 3 weeks later, the Indomitable left Earth orbit. The crew of 60 included the best humanity had to offer. Jiho commanded from the bridge with Mina managing engineering, Day handling tactical operations, and Hana running the science division. Navigator Taeyang Shin plotted their course while Medical Officer Yuna Kwan prepared for every possible disaster. The journey to the graveyard took 2 weeks. As they approached, the nebula grew larger on their screens. It was beautiful and terrifying. Clouds of gas and dust glowing in reds and purples, shot through with lightning-like energy discharges. Sensor readings are going crazy, Taeyang reported. Gravity fluctuations, radiation spikes, magnetic fields strong enough to tear apart normal matter. How did Council ships even get inside? Mina wondered aloud. Very carefully, I imagine, Jiho said. And they still failed. Hana, what are we looking at? The xenobiologist studied her displays. The nebula is young, maybe only 1 million years old. Something violent created it, a supernova possibly, or multiple stellar collisions. The environment inside should be completely hostile to life. Should be, Day noted. But something's in there. Something that destroyed 200 expeditions. The Indomitable crossed the nebula's edge. Immediately alarms began sounding. Radiation warnings, hull stress alerts, navigation errors, shields holding, Mina reported. But we're taking a beating. Hull temperature rising. Jiho watched the view screen carefully. Taeyang, do you see that? The navigator looked where Jiho pointed. Debris. Massive pieces of wreckage floating in the clouds. The remains of alien ships, some ancient, some relatively new. All those expeditions, Hana whispered. They're all still here. Taeyang began analyzing the debris patterns. Captain, there's something interesting. All the wrecks seem to be oriented in the same direction. They were all heading toward something. Toward what? The center of the nebula. There's something there, but our sensors can't penetrate the interference. Jiho made his decision. Set course for the center. Slow and steady. We're not going to rush into whatever killed them. They moved deeper into the graveyard. The journey was tense, every moment bringing new hazards. Asteroid fields appeared without warning. Energy storms washed over the ship. Strange gravitational eddies tried to pull them off course. And then Yuna's voice came over the intercom, urgent. Medical Beta Bridge. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Jiho asked. Look at your hull cameras. Aft section, Jiho pulled up the external view. His blood went cold. Something was attached to the ship's hull. Something alive. It looked like a massive insect made of silicon and metal, easily 20 meters long. Its mandibles were chewing through the Indomitable's armor plating. We've got more, Day shouted. Multiple contacts all around us. The creatures swarmed from the debris clouds. Dozens of them, hundreds maybe. They landed on the ship and began eating it. Weapons, Jiho commanded. Lasers are useless, Day reported. Their shells are too reflective. Missiles, the ship shook as the creatures tore through outer hull sections. Alarm screamed. Atmosphere began venting. Mina's fingers flew across her console. I think I know what they're attracted to. The Council ships all used exotic matter for their FTL drives. These things feed on it. We use fusion drives, Jiho said, understanding. They might not be interested in our fuel. Only one way to find out. Shutting down all exotic matter systems now. The ship went dark except for emergency lighting. All advanced systems powered down. The Indomitable drifted on momentum alone, quiet and cold. The creatures stopped eating. They seemed confused, their sensors searching for the energy signature that had attracted them. One by one, they detached from the hull and drifted away, looking for other prey among the ancient wrecks. In the silent ship, The crew held their breath. Minutes passed. The creatures dispersed into the nebula clouds. Bring primary systems back online, Jiho ordered quietly. But keep exotic matter usage minimal. Mina, can you reconfigure our drives? Already on it. We can mask our FTL signature. It'll slow us down, but we'll be invisible to those things. Do it. As the ship powered up again, Taiyang called out, Captain, I'm getting a signal. Very faint, but it's artificial. Coming from the center of the nebula. What kind of signal? It's old. Really old, and it's repeating a pattern. I think it's a beacon. Hana looked up from her console, excitement in her voice. A beacon means someone built something here. Something that's still functioning after who knows how long. Jiho looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. Human nature at its finest, terrified but too curious to turn back. We continue, he said. Whatever's at the center of the graveyard, we're going to find it. That's what we came here for. The Indomitable moved forward, deeper into the nebula toward the ancient signal. Behind them, the Council's failed expeditions drifted in the dark, silent witnesses to humanity's attempt to do what no other species had done. Survive the graveyard. The structure appeared on their sensors like a ghost materializing from fog. At first, Taiyang thought it was another piece of debris. Then he realized the scale. Captain, his voice shook slightly. You need to see this. The view screen cleared as they emerged from a particularly dense gas cloud. Before them floated a space station so massive it had its own gravity field. It was easily the size of Earth's moon. A sphere of dark metal covered in symbols and patterns that hurt to look at. Parts of it were damaged, scarred by time and violence, but most of it remained intact. How old is that thing? Mina breathed. Hana was already scanning it. The metal. I can't identify it. It's not in any database. The radiation signature suggests it's at least 50,000 years old. Maybe older. Much older. 50,000 years, Day repeated. The Council has only existed for 100,000 years. This predates most of their member species. Jiho stared at the station. The precursors. Every spacefaring species had legends about them. The first civilization, the ones who supposedly seeded the galaxy with life before vanishing. Most scientists thought they were just myths. Apparently not, Jiho said quietly. Taiyang, can you get us closer? Yes, sir. But Captain, there's something else. I'm reading atmosphere inside parts of the station. Breathable atmosphere. After 50,000 years. The station is still powered somehow. Life support is active in some sections. The Indomitable approached slowly. As they neared, their instruments went haywire. Gravity shifted unpredictably. Radiation levels spiked and dropped. Temperature readings showed some sections at normal room temperature, others at hundreds of degrees below zero, or hot enough to melt steel. This is why the Council expeditions failed, Hana said. Look at the environmental readings. They're all over the place. Council species are specialized. They can't survive these extremes, but humans can, Mina added. With the right equipment. Jiho made his decision. Prepare a boarding party. Full environmental suits. We're going inside. Yuna immediately started preparing medical protocols. I'm coming with you. If someone gets hurt in there, they'll need immediate treatment. The boarding team assembled in the airlock. Jiho, Mina, Dai, Hana, Yuna, and 4 security officers. Their suits were equipped with redundant life support systems, radiation shielding, and enough emergency supplies to survive for days. They took a shuttle to the station's surface. Taiyang had found what looked like a docking port, though it used technology none of them recognized. Mina managed to interface with it using a combination of human computers and salvaged Council tech. The door is opening, she reported. I think the station recognizes us as something, not sure what. The docking bay beyond was cavernous and dark. Their lights cut through the blackness, reflecting off walls covered in the same strange symbols they'd seen outside. Gravity is about Earth normal, Day noted. Convenient. Or intentional, Hana suggested. Maybe the station adapts to whoever enters. They moved deeper inside. The corridors were massive, built for beings much larger than humans. The architecture was alien in ways that Council structures weren't. The angles were wrong somehow, geometric but disturbing. Temperature is rising, Yuna warned. We're at 40 degrees and climbing. Keep moving, Jiho ordered. We can handle heat. They passed through the hot section into an area where frost formed on the walls. Minus 30 degrees and dropping. Then back to normal. The station was testing them, Jiho realized. testing their ability to adapt. Behind them, they heard a grinding sound. The passage they'd come through sealed itself. "We're being directed," Day said calmly. "The station wants us to go somewhere specific." "Then let's not disappoint it." They followed the path the station provided. Sometimes gravity increased, pushing them down. Sometimes it disappeared entirely, forcing them to navigate in zero-G. Radiation levels surged in some corridors. In others, the atmosphere turned toxic, forcing them to rely on their suit systems. Each challenge would have killed most council species. But humans adapted. When gravity increased, they crawled. When it disappeared, they pulled themselves along. When radiation spiked, they moved quickly through those sections. When the air turned poisonous, they trusted their equipment. "I'm starting to understand," Hana said as they navigated a corridor filled with electrical discharges. "This isn't a test of technology. It's a test of adaptability." The precursors wanted to know who could survive changing conditions. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. The doors opened automatically and lights activated inside. The room was circular, hundreds of meters across with a domed ceiling covered in stars. In the center stood a pedestal, and hovering above it was a sphere of blue light. "Welcome," a voice said, not spoken but somehow present in their minds. "You have passed the trials." The blue sphere pulsed, and suddenly the chamber filled with holographic images. Alien beings appeared, tall and graceful, with 4 arms and crystalline skin that shifted colors. "The precursors. We are the first," the voice continued. "We seeded this galaxy with life. We built civilizations. We reached heights you cannot imagine. And we failed." The images changed. Space itself seemed to tear open. From the wounds in reality, things emerged. Dark shapes that absorbed all light. Entities that couldn't be looked at directly without feeling fear. "The Voidborn," Hana whispered. "Yes," the precursor voice confirmed. "They come from the space between spaces. Every 100,000 years they arrive to feed on matter, energy, life itself. We fought them. We lost, we died. But before the end, we built this station." The images showed precursors constructing the massive facility, working frantically as their worlds burned. "We created a test. Only those capable of adapting, of surviving impossible conditions could reach this chamber. Only they would have a chance against the Voidborn. Many species have tried. All failed. Until now." The blue sphere descended from the pedestal and approached the human team. It circled them, seeming to study each person. "Humans," it said. "You are weak individually. Your bodies are fragile. Your technology is primitive. You are young and foolish. And yet you are here. You survived where thousands failed. Why?" Jiho spoke carefully. "Because we adapt. Because we don't give up. Because we're too stubborn to know when we're beaten." "Yes," the precursor voice said, and there was something like approval in it. "The strength and weakness. The advantage and limitations. You cannot survive by specialization alone. You must constantly adapt, innovate, overcome. This is why you succeeded." The sphere returned to the pedestal and expanded. The entire chamber transformed into a display of information. Weapon designs, shield configurations, scientific principles beyond human understanding, the accumulated knowledge of the precursors. "This is our gift to you," the voice said. "But it comes with a warning. The Voidborn are returning. The 100,000-year cycle is ending. In 5 years they will arrive. Your galaxy is unprepared. The council species have grown comfortable, specialized, complacent. They will fall as we did. Unless someone stops them," Mina said, "unless someone fights. The weapons we give you are powerful, but they are not enough. The Voidborn are infinite. They are patient. They are merciless. To defeat them, you must be more than strong. You must be adaptable. You must be united. You must be human." Yuna stepped forward. "Why tell us this? Why not warn the council directly?" "We tried," the precursor voice said sadly. "Many council expeditions reached this station. All failed the trials. They could not adapt. They could not survive. We could not trust them with this knowledge. But you are different. You are what we hoped would evolve. Species without limits, survivors." The information continued flowing. Hana and Mina were frantically recording everything they could. The data was too vast for them to absorb, but they could store it and analyze it later. 5 years, Jiho said. "That's not much time to prepare." "It is enough," the precursor voice replied. "If you begin now, if you unite your galaxy, if you teach them what it means to adapt." Day looked at Jiho. "The council isn't going to believe us. They called us inferior. They restricted us to our solar system. Then we show them, Jiho said firmly. We return to council space. We share this information. We warn them whether they want to listen or not. Even after what they did to you? The precursor voice asked. Especially because of what they did to us, Jiho replied. Because we're human. We don't abandon people just because they were wrong about us. We save them anyway. The blue sphere pulsed brighter. Then take our gift. Take our warning. Save this galaxy. Prove that humanity is worthy of the name we gave your species in ancient times, the enduring ones. The chamber's lights began to fade. The holographic precursors looked at the human team one last time. Good luck, they said. Survive what we could not. The station shook. The human team ran back through the corridors, which now cleared a direct path to their shuttle. As they launched away from the station, massive energy discharges erupted from its surface. It's self-destructing, Taeyang reported from the Indomitable. The station is destroying itself. It gave us everything it had, Hana said quietly. Its purpose is complete. They watched as the ancient precursor station collapsed into light and fire, taking its secrets into death. But not all its secrets. Humanity now carried the knowledge and the warning. Jiho looked at his crew. Set course for council space. The Indomitable emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of council space. Immediately, warning signals blazed across every screen. We're being targeted, Day reported calmly. 50 council warships. They're powering weapons. Open a channel, Jiho ordered. This is Captain Jiho Park of the ESS Indomitable. We carry urgent information for the council. We need immediate access to Axiom Prime. The response came quickly. Human vessel, you have violated quarantine. Turn back immediately or you will be destroyed. We've been to the graveyard, Jiho said. We survived. We have information about the precursors and a threat to the entire galaxy. There was a long pause. Then Chairman Velthar's voice came through, cold and skeptical. Impossible. No ship returns from the graveyard. Yet here we are, Jiho replied. Chairman, what we found concerns every living being in this galaxy. Please let us present our evidence. Another pause. Then reluctantly, you will be escorted to Axiom Prime. Any hostile action will result in your immediate destruction. The Council warships surrounded the Indomitable, keeping weapons locked on it. They traveled to the neutron star in the Grand Council chamber. This time, Jiho noticed something he'd missed before. The council members looked nervous. Velthar stood on his central platform. Captain Park, you claim to have survived the graveyard. Explain. Jiho began carefully. We found a precursor station at the nebula's center. It was designed as a test. The environment inside was deliberately hostile, with extreme temperatures, radiation, gravity fluctuations, and toxic atmospheres. We adapted to each challenge. The station judged us worthy and gave us access to its archives. Convenient, a squid-like council member said mockingly. And of course, this station no longer exists, so we cannot verify your claims. The station self-destructed after sharing its information, Mina stepped forward. But we recorded everything. We have the data. Hana activated a holographic display. The images of the precursors appeared, along with scientific data and technical specifications that made several council members lean forward in recognition. These symbols, an insectoid council member said slowly. I've seen them in archaeological sites. They match precursor artifacts found across the galaxy. The station told us about the Voidborn, Jiho continued. Entities from dark space that arrive every 100,000 years to consume all matter and energy. The precursors fought them and lost. The station was built to find species capable of succeeding where they failed. The chamber erupted in noise. Council members argued in dozens of languages. Some looked frightened, others angry. Many seemed disbelieving. Velthar raised his appendages for silence. This is fantasy. Ancient legends. The Voidborn are myths told to children. Your ancestors didn't think so, Day said firmly. They marked the graveyard on all your maps. They sent 200 expeditions there. They were looking for the precursor station, trying to find answers. They failed because they couldn't adapt to the environment. And primitive humans succeeded? Velthar's tone dripped with sarcasm. This is propaganda. You fabricated this story to make your species seem important. The Voidborn are real, Hana said, pulling up more data. According to the precursor archives, they arrive in 5 years. The galaxy has that long to prepare. Enough! Velthar's voice boomed. Even if this story were true, which I doubt, The Council has defended this galaxy for 100,000 years. We have weapons and shields beyond your comprehension. We would handle any threat. With respect, Chairman, the precursors said the same thing. Jiho replied. They were more advanced than you can imagine. The Voidborn destroyed them anyway. This council session is over, Velthar declared. Humans, return to your solar system. If you cross the quarantine boundary again, you will be destroyed. We will not discuss this absurd story further. Jiho started to argue, but Mina touched his arm. She was looking at her portable console, her face pale. Captain, she whispered, I'm picking up something on the emergency council channels. There's an incident at the outer rim. Velthar heard her. That communication is classified. A colony world just went dark, Mina continued, her voice rising. Total loss of contact. It's in the same region where the precursors predicted the first Voidborn incursion. The chamber fell silent. A council member rushed to Velthar with a datapad. The chairman's crystalline surface darkened as he read it. Send our border fleet to investigate, Velthar ordered. It's likely just a communication failure. But Jiho saw the doubt in the chairman's posture. The fear, it's starting, Jiho said quietly. Whether you believe us or not, it's starting. Over the next 3 days, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The border fleet arrived at the dark colony world and found nothing. No planet, no debris. Nothing but empty space where a world and 6 billion lives had existed. Then it appeared. A tear in space itself, and through it came something that couldn't be described properly. Dark matter given form and hunger. The Voidborn scout entity. The council fleet opened fire. Energy weapons, missiles, exotic matter bombs. Everything they had, nothing worked. The entity absorbed energy weapons, making itself stronger. Physical projectiles passed through it as if it weren't there. It reached out with tendrils of darkness and began consuming ships, not destroying them. Consuming them. The vessels simply ceased to exist, atom by atom as the Voidborn fed. The fleet commander sent one desperate message before his ship vanished. It's real. God help us, it's all real. The Grand Council chamber was in chaos when Jiho and his team returned, summoned by an emergency broadcast. Council members were panicking, arguing, some already calling for evacuation of their home worlds. Velthar looked diminished somehow, his crystalline surface dull. The entity has consumed 17 ships. Nothing harms it. It's moving deeper into council space. Send more fleets, demanded one council member. We already did, Velthar said quietly. 3 full battle groups, 2,000 ships. They lasted 6 hours. The entity consumed them all and split into 3 separate entities. Every ship we send just feeds it. Then what do? Another member wailed. We run, someone suggested. Evacuate. Find new galaxies. There's no time, Hana said, stepping forward. The precursor data shows Voidborn spread across entire galaxies in weeks once they start feeding. Nowhere is safe. Then we're doomed, Velthar said. It wasn't a question. No, Jiho said firmly. You're not doomed. You're just fighting wrong. Your weapons, your tactics, everything you're using feeds the Voidborn or passes through them. You need a different approach. And you have this approach? Velthar asked, his tone desperate now rather than mocking. We have the precursor weapons data. We've been studying it. Human engineers have ideas. But more than that, we have experience fighting in ways you've forgotten. What ways? Jiho took a breath. Unorthodox tactics. Manual control instead of AI. Kinetic weapons instead of energy. Adaptability instead of rigid strategy. Everything you called primitive. Everything you mocked us for, those are the tools that can hurt the Voidborn. Day pulled up tactical displays. The precursors designed weapons specifically for fighting the Voidborn. But the weapons are only part of it. You need crews who can adapt, who can think creatively, who can keep fighting when their systems fail and their plans fall apart. You need humans, Mina said bluntly. The chamber was silent. Every alien eye turned to Velthar. The chairman stared at the humans for a long moment. Then slowly, his crystalline form bowed, and gesture of submission of respect that shocked everyone present. Captain Park, Velthar said quietly, I was wrong. The council was wrong. We judged you inferior when we should have recognized your strength. We dismissed your adaptability as primitive chaos when it was exactly what we needed. I apologize, it was perhaps the first time in galactic history that a council chairman had apologized to anyone. We don't need apologies, Jiho said. We need cooperation. Give us access to your manufacturing facilities. Let human engineers work with your scientists. Put human commanders in your fleets. Teach your species to adapt. We have 5 years before the main Voidborn force arrives. Maybe less now. We need to start immediately. And if we do this, Velthar asked, will you help us? Even after how we treated your species. Jiho looked at his crew. Mina, who'd been insulted for her primitive engineering. Day, whose military experience had been dismissed. Anna, whose biology degree had been called worthless. They all nodded. Of course we'll help, Jiho said. That's what humans do. We survive, and we make sure everyone else survives too. Velthar straightened. When he spoke again, his voice carried across the chamber with authority. By emergency decree, I suspend all quarantine orders on humanity. Captain Park and his team are granted full council authority. All resources are at their disposal. Every species will cooperate fully. He paused, then added, and I hereby nominate Earth for immediate council membership, with full voting rights and privileges. The vote was unanimous. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Captain, Velthar said. Now please, show us how to survive. Jiho smiled grimly. That's the plan. Let's get to work. Admiral Soman Choi stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance and watched the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history maneuver through space. 12,000 ships from 47 different species, all under her command. 6 months ago, she'd been defending Earth from council threats. Now she commanded their entire military force. Strange how quickly things changed when extinction was the alternative. Status report, she ordered. A young officer responded. All human advisors are in position with their respective fleets. Integration training is 90% complete. Precursor weapon systems are installed on 3,000 ships, with more coming online daily. Soman nodded. The last 6 months had been brutal. Earth's engineers working around the clock with alien scientists, teaching them to build weapons that didn't rely on energy fields or exotic matter, railguns that fired solid projectiles at relativistic speeds, fusion bombs that created actual explosions instead of energy pulses, nuclear torpedoes that the Voidborn couldn't absorb, primitive weapons by council standards, effective weapons by human standards. But more important than the weapons was the change in thinking. That had been the real challenge. Admiral, her communication officer called. Captain Park is requesting a channel. Jiho appeared on the main screen. He was aboard a council flagship with a mixed crew of humans and aliens. Behind him, Soman could see Mina arguing with a crystalline engineer about power distribution, while Day drilled alien marines in hand-to-hand combat. Admiral, Jiho said, scout ships report the Voidborn main force has entered the Outer Rim. Multiple entities moving fast. They'll reach the Helix Nebula in 72 hours. The defense line is ready, Soman replied. Every fleet commander has human tactical advisors. Every ship has crews trained in manual override. We're as prepared as we can be. It won't be enough, Hana said, appearing beside Jiho. The precursor data shows the Voidborn adapt to tactics. If we fight conventionally, even with human methods, they'll learn to counter us. Then we don't fight conventionally, Soman said. We're human. Conventional isn't our style anyway. The fleet moved to intercept at the Helix Nebula, a massive stellar nursery filled with young stars and dense gas clouds. It was perfect defensive terrain, which is exactly why Soman chose it. All ships to positions, she ordered. Human command protocols are now active. All AI systems to standby mode. Crews take manual control. Across the fleet, alien crews did something they hadn't done in thousands of years. They turned off their computers and put their hands on the controls. Human advisors stood beside alien commanders, ready to teach them what adaptation really meant. The Voidborn arrived like a plague. 12 massive entities, each one larger than a moon, surrounded by smaller drones. They moved through space like sharks through water, graceful and deadly. All ships hold fire, Soman commanded. Let them come to us. The Voidborn advanced into the nebula. The fleet waited, hidden among the gas clouds and young stars. Tension mounted as the dark entities drew closer. Now, Soman said calmly. The trap sprung, not with energy weapons or exotic bombs, but with good old-fashioned gravity. Human engineers had rigged the young stars in the nebula to go supernova simultaneously. Not natural supernovas that would take millions of years, but forced ones that happened in seconds. 6 stars exploded at once. The blast wave hit the Voidborn entities with raw kinetic force, not energy they could absorb, but actual physical matter moving at incredible speeds. 3 entities were torn apart. The rest reeled, damaged but adapting. All ships attack, someone ordered. Pattern Delta 7. The fleet emerged from the gas clouds, but not in formation. Instead, ships moved independently, chaotically, each captain making their own decisions. Human advisors had taught them the most important lesson: don't be predictable. Railgun slugs slammed into void-borne drones. Nuclear torpedoes detonated in sequences designed to create physical shockwaves. Fusion bombs exploded not to release energy, but to throw debris at relativistic speeds, and it worked. The void-borne, used to fighting enemies who relied on energy and exotic matter, couldn't adapt fast enough to simple kinetic force. But they learned quickly. The remaining 9 entities split into dozens of smaller ones spreading out to flank the fleet. They're adapting, Day reported from his ship, dispersing to reduce the effectiveness of area weapons. Then we adapt faster, Solomon replied. All ships, formation chaos. Formation chaos wasn't really a formation at all. It was controlled madness. Each ship's human advisor suggested different tactics, different approaches, different targets. No 2 ships fought the same way. Some used ramming attacks. Others laid mines. Some created debris fields as weapons. Others used the nebula's gravity to slingshot projectiles. The void-borne couldn't predict what was coming because even the humans didn't know what they were going to do until they did it. In the midst of the battle, Jiho noticed something. The entities are trying to reach the populated systems beyond the nebula. They're not just fighting us, they're trying to get past us to feed on civilians. Not happening, someone said grimly. All ships full reverse. Keep between them and the inhabited systems. We're the wall they can't cross. The battle turned into a grinding slugfest. Ships died, but they died protecting billions. Alien crews learned what it meant to sacrifice, to hold the line even when the situation was hopeless. And they learned from their human advisors that hopeless didn't mean defeated. Captain Park, Mina called from engineering. I have a crazy idea. Those are the best kind, Jiho replied. The void-borne absorb energy. What if we overload them? Feed them so much energy at once that they can't process it? How? We make a star go supernova. A real one at close range. Then we detonate every fusion reactor in the fleet simultaneously, while the void-borne are trying to absorb the stellar explosion. That's insane, Day said. That's human, Hana corrected with a smile. Jiho looked at the tactical display. There was a massive blue star at the edge of the nebula. Perfect. Admiral Choi, he called. I'm sending you a plan. It's going to sound insane. Good, Sumin replied. The sane plans haven't been working well enough. What do you need? Every ship's fusion reactor set to overload on my mark. And someone needs to make that star go supernova right when the void-borne are clustered around it. How do we get them to cluster? We give them bait they can't resist. My ship, Soman was quiet for a moment, then approved. But Jiho, you better survive this. I didn't make you humanity's hero just to watch you die. Jiho smiled. Dying isn't very human of me. We'll survive. We always do. The Indomitable broke from the fleet and accelerated toward the blue star, broadcasting on all frequencies, drawing the void-borne's attention. 9 entities and hundreds of drones pursued, hungry for the energy signature. Mina, how long to trigger the supernova? Jiho asked. 2 minutes once we start the reaction. We need to get very close to the star. And how long to get clear? 3 minutes minimum. So we're going to be inside a supernova blast? Briefly, Mina said with forced cheerfulness. The Indomitable dove toward the blue star, the void-borne in pursuit. Behind them, the entire fleet prepared to overload their reactors. Now, Mina, Jiho shouted. Mina triggered the devices they'd planted on the star using FTL drones. The star's fusion reaction went unstable. It would explode in 2 minutes. All ships on my mark overload reactors, Somin commanded. 3, 2, 1, mark. Across the fleet, 12,000 fusion reactors began dumping energy into space, a massive energy signature that the void-borne couldn't resist. The entities turned away from the Indomitable and rushed toward the fleet. Exactly as planned, supernova in 10 seconds, Mina reported. Shields at maximum. The star exploded. A wave of matter and energy expanded at incredible speed. It caught the void-borne entities and they did what they always did. They began absorbing the energy. But this wasn't normal energy. This was a supernova's worth of matter and radiation, plus 12,000 overloading fusion reactors, more energy than the void-borne could process. The entities began to destabilize. They grew brighter, hotter, trying to contain power beyond their capacity. And then, one by one, they exploded. Not destroyed by weapons, but destroyed by their own hunger. The Indomitable, at the edge of the blast, rode the shockwave like a surfboard on a tsunami. The ship's hull glowed red-hot. Systems failed. But the crew held on. "We're through," Taiyang shouted as they cleared the worst of it. "Hull integrity at 40%, but we're alive." Across the fleet, ships began reporting in. Losses were heavy. 2,000 ships destroyed. But the Voidborn main force was gone. "Did we win?" someone asked over the general channel. "We survived," Somin replied. "That's better than winning. That's human." The war continued for 5 more years. More Voidborn entities arrived. More battles were fought. More ships and lives were lost. Humanity lost 2 billion people. 30 council species went extinct. The cost was terrible, but the galaxy survived. And it survived because humans taught them how. Velthar stood before the reconstructed Grand Council chamber. The old chamber had been destroyed in a Voidborn attack. This new one was built differently with human input. Less grand, more functional. A symbol of the galaxy's new attitude. "We gather today to honor those who gave everything in the Voidborn War," Velthar said, "and to recognize the species that saved us all."